environment variables. Environment variables. There's other videos for environment variables and why they matter. But with regard to GitHub Actions, I already did a video about this. Go watch that one. It's longer. But I want to emphasize one thing. Environment variables are, I think, the second best way to pass data into anything. The first best way is standard input because that's data and you're in control of parsing it. But it's tedious, right? So if you don't know what an environment variable is, let's just go ahead and recap. An environment variable is when you might look at this and go, where does that user even come from, right? Well, right here is where it comes from. Now, this entry point is not meant to be run, so I have to run it with shell. Directory, see, wait, no, it went ahead and did it. It's trying to create a directory. That's fine. That's other problem in there. But did you see this? You see here, it looked at my user, so I can echo user, and I can see what it is, right? If I wanted to change it, you probably already know this, but I could say user equals another, and it would say, I mean, disregard the other error, but hello another, right? So that's what we're talking about when we're talking about environment variables. We're talking about passing data safely and easily in a named way into anything that can run, anything that can execute. And well, why does that matter for GitHub Actions? Because when you look at a GitHub action, you see all these environment variables that come across. I already did this in another video, but I really am going to show it to you again. When you use a GitHub, when you set up environment variables in a GitHub action, you get these nice, super duper clean methods of import. You don't get this ugly crap that comes when you use with. And you get, of course, GitHub itself uses a bunch of standard environments variables as well. Another reason to use them. So when we go to how to define an environment variable into an action, so here is our action. You can see that the environment variables are passed very cleanly, and they're super pretty, and they can pass the secrets in. And it's just absolutely beautiful. Not only that, it's really, really secure. The other video talks about how this avoids the problem of using with. In my opinion, you should never use with at all. And I made a video about that. You can argue with me all you want on that. That's fine. People have been using environment variables since the CGI days in the 90s. And it's a really safe, convenient way to pass data. It's very intuitive because people are already doing it for containers these days. But there's actually one last really great reason. And if you watched all the way to the end of this video, this is where you're going to be grateful for that. One of the things you can do with environment variables that you cannot do with the other stuff is you can move their scope. So as it was right there, these environment variables are set to only be in the scope of this particular run step. But if I wanted to, I can bring them up. I can bring one or more. Let's say I want to have a centrally managed host key, right? Maybe we don't want the host key to be, maybe we bring it up here. Okay, now what I'm trying to say is that because I chose to use environment variables here instead of with and some of the other crap, I can actually use the same exact environment variable and then have it be visible down here. And then I also have the option to overtake it. If I wanted to, I could actually leave it down here and have it be overridden. Now, anybody who's done any kind of coding understands the value of this, the value of overriding variables and having some variable be the default. Not to mention, as I already showed, the ultra clean method of input by naming convention, so that your entry scripts, your whatever your script is, actually can very easily be reused all by itself outside the scope of a GitHub environment variable. I mean, to think about it, if you tried to make this entry point script, I mean, it's already, other than the GitHub underscore output, which is kind of annoying, this is just a script, right? So you could have this script anywhere, and it can make sense to somebody whether or not it's a part of a GitHub action. So my main point here to this video is environment variables buy you the ability to set different scopes of visibility for your environment variables throughout your code, throughout your action, so that you can change it up. And that is just intuitive to anybody who's already been using environment variables. Anybody who knows environment variables will already immediately see the benefit of that, not to mention just the baseline simplicity. So this video is advocating very strongly that when you're using a GitHub action, just default to passing your data through environment variables or into a file, right? And specifically, GitHub output file, which is really the only way to do that for large amounts of data. I'm still relatively new to GitHub Actions, so if you, if you have a better way to do this, or you think I'm dead wrong, please let me know in the comments, and I'll try to get to them. But the takeaway is, just use environment variables in your GitHub Actions.